cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel, folks. Desperate times call for desperate SHTF measures. And boy, we got a program for you now. I hope you are ready. You know, I felt a lot of tension in the world the last, 2 years. Yeah, crap hit the fan big time. We actually had a financial failure, folks, all the way back in September of 2019. Now, I got a message here from Mike who says, Semper Fi to you and everyone else. And he wrote and said, as you know, John has hit on some of this since 2019. I think this is some vindication and expansion on the concept, meaning the concepts I've discussed. He says, I'd love to hear John review this on the show to get the narrative out to our friends. This was on Tucker last night. He says, thank you to you and the whole team, and thank you, Mike, and thank you to all subscribers, supporters, financial backers, word spreaders, et cetera, et cetera. So here it is, folks. This is really encapsulating what was on the TV here that was sent. Now, this is a Twitter tweet from Class Redux Killa. He says, you're watching a master level Ponzi scheme. 2020 crash gets laundered through Cerveza bailouts. Cerveza bailouts get laundered through inflation. Inflation laundered through war in Ukraine. The war and its effects on the globe will be laundered through climate change. The perps walk. Well, that is a lot thrown in there. Indeed it is. I don't want to argue with this a whole lot, but you know, it's just, when do you see the things that happen? You know, he says 2020, the crash gets laundered. The crash of 2019 gets laundered in 2020. Yeah, under Cerveza bug, nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. As I sit here in Studio B, nails it. Cerveza bailouts laundered through inflation. Yeah. What is a Cerveza bailout? Everybody who got paid to sit on their ass at home, everyone who got paid unemployment, extensions, bonuses for having kids, all for sitting on their ass. And so everyone thought they're getting free money, but it was all paid for through inflation, right? Inflation, folks. How do we hide that? Wow, we launder it. We're going to use the word launder to describe how it's hidden, how it's appeared to be cleaned up. Right? This inflation is laundered through Ukraine, and we've heard this ad nauseum. Boy, they needed somebody to blame all the inflation on. Biden was getting tired of those stickers that said Biden did this, right? So then all of a sudden, Russia. In fact, there was a news release today that higher food prices are Russia's fault. It's incredible, folks. Everything is Russia's fault. And, you know, Class Redux Killa ends with, the war and its effects on the globe will be laundered through climate change. They're really pushing this climate change, folks. We're going to get into that as well. It has hit the fan. I hope you are prepared. What is being prepared, folks? Is it just having food? Is it just having firearms? Or is it being mentally aware of what is going on? Right? That's really what it's about. This is an entire, I don't want to use Ponzi scheme, folks, because that's an investment system that's supposed to make people rich, right? Unless you're the bag holder at the end. I see this more as a wealth transfer mechanism, a wealth transfer series of events designed to take those who ruined the economic, financial, monetary system, and they're hiding their failures by creating a series of disasters and then blaming everyone else for it. And in the end, yeah, the perps walk. Well, the perps walk free, or will the perps get the perp walk? We aren't there yet, but that's really what they're trying to do, is they're trying to walk free. That's really what they want to do. They want to hide this wealth transfer, all this money printed, right? If you have cash sitting in the bank, it's losing to the tune of what? 7.5, 15, 20% or more. Right? I went to put some gas in a vehicle today, some fuel, I should say, and gasoline in this area over $4 a gallon. Premium is almost $5. Unbelievable. It was down at $2 or a little under or a little over just about a year ago. Biden did this, folks. He sure did. Thank you, Mike, very much for that. That was great. That kind of rolls into some of the other things I want to discuss with you guys. And by the way, it is the Q&A, question and answer. You guys get the second half of the hour, but I'm starting with my monologue. Now, Putin is not giving up. There's so much misinformation. So luckily, I've got both satire and the truth. And I think you can handle it.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Just can't get enough of that. I can handle the truth. You can as well. Folks, get this. Putin is now trolling Biden. He's making fun of him. He's teasing him in front of the whole world. He's making him look like a dirty sock puppet that the dog has been humping all night. He looks bad. And everyone knows it and everyone sees it. They're trying to say that Russia is losing. Russia's failing in Ukraine. Really, right? Do you believe that? Do you believe that Russia is being beaten by Ukraine? Let me ask you this. Would a nation that's winning in its battle, and I don't mean a nation of people, how about this? The government of Ukraine, if it is winning, do they want women on the front lines? Get this, folks, right? We're being told that Zelensky is like a new Jesus and that everything is great. Are you prepared for this? Folks, we're being told they're the good guys, but these good guys don't respect trannies. That's right, folks. I said it. The good guys in Ukraine don't respect trannies. See, I thought these were advanced, evolved, super good people in Ukraine. Turns out, yeah, they're a bunch of Nazis being led by Nazi leaders. Fascinating, no? Well, here's what happened. Right? Transgender men are being turned away at the Ukraine border. Yeah, they're doing a weenie tuck, putting some makeup on their face and trying to get out the country. Well, it's reported that the Ukraine government is making suspected individuals strip down and probably do a shake, shake, shake dance and shake everything loose. And if they got a weenie, that makes them a guy. And what they're saying in Ukraine is, you're a guy, go to the war. Right? They're being told they have to fight. So the military that's winning is making trannies go fight. Do you think they're winning, folks? Desperate times, desperate measures, and desperate SHTF. When you're looking to your trannies to win the war for you. Folks, this is just a marvelous example of how bad things have gotten, how ridiculous the world is. Unbelievable, huh? To make the point all the more salient and humorous, because I love humor and satire. Got to be careful, though. Who is it? The Babylon Bee keeps getting in trouble for having actual satire, for having the real deal. Right? Get this. Ketanji, is that her name? Ketanji Jackson? This woman who's on in Capitol Hill again, in the Senate, trying to get confirmed as a Supreme Court Justice of the United States. She was asked to define what a woman is. She couldn't answer. Someone who has served as a federal judge, folks, represented clients, right? You're supposed to be schooled, you're supposed to be a constitutional scholar of the highest order in order to be nominated and put on the Supreme Court. This is incredible. She can't define what a woman is. She literally said she can't define what a woman is. Here she says, I quote, Supreme Court Justice, when asked to define what a woman is, says, quote, I can't. I'm not a biologist. Again, folks, she says, I can't. I'm not a biologist. She's not an expert. She's not an expert, I guess, right? And she can't answer a first grade question, right? Didn't Biden say that he was going to nominate a black woman to the Supreme Court? Knowing that, I think all she would have to say is a woman has a vagina. Conversely, a man has a penis. But as soon as she says that, right, she's now ruling on a court case that's coming up. You see, this is how ridiculous these frickin' morons are, folks. Because you're supposed to be able to say, I'm a woman, even though I have a penis. Or I'm a man, even though I have a vagina. See, she breaks it down and says it's about biology. The lunatic left is saying it's about psychological identification. There's a difference between biology and psychological identification. She could have made that distinction. But this is the screwball world we're living in, folks. And these are some desperate fruitcakes. Desperate fruitcakes. Right? I want to get back to Biden, right? Biden, Putin. Because I started talking about it and never really told you how Putin is trolling Biden, right? Vladimir Putin said that Russia will, quote, demand the countries it has labeled as unfriendly, which includes what? The United States, the United Kingdom, England, European Union countries, anyone else that is siding with NATO, right? Any unfriendly countries must pay in Russian rubles if they want to buy Russian gas, Russian oil, Russian uranium, maybe? Anyways, as a result, Putin ordered the central bank and the government in a week's time to determine, right, how ruble payments for Russian gas are going to work. He ordered Gazprom, that's their national oil company, it's like their Chevron, to make corresponding changes to their contracts, their gas and oil contracts. Putin also said that Russia, folks, is going to continue supplying contracted volumes. It's only going to change the payment currency, right? Folks, the ruble will be a world reserve currency at this point. And the United States and the United Kingdom will have to go buy rubles to pay for gas and materials. How strong is the US and the US dollar? Russia doesn't want the dollar anymore, folks. Russia wants to be paid in their own currency. Right? Putin looks at the chessboard and he looks at Biden and he says, check. Not checkmate, folks. Check. Now, how do you buy rubles from Russia? Do you buy them with worthless dollars printed out of thin air? Right? Crispy Bacon has been talking to me about this lately. Think about it. What will Putin accept in exchange for his rubles? I wouldn't accept worthless paper dollars, nor bonds. U.S. bonds, let's see, if we have an inflation rate, the PPI the other day was what? 10%, 11%, 12%? I can't remember. Crazy. But if you buy a U.S. bond, you get 2%, right? That is return free guarantee. You're not going to make a penny. You're going to lose money buying U.S. bonds. Why would anyone do that? Here's what I think is going to happen, folks. And this is just a prediction. It's a long shot, but a prediction nonetheless. Putin says if you want rubles, you will trade gold for rubles. And then you can use those rubles to buy our gas, our oil, What do you think is going to happen, folks, if that comes to pass? This is a big check on the US, a big check on the US dollar, a big check on the euro, a big check on NATO. Right? Yeah, you want that gas? Start giving up your gold for it. This is a big type move, right? It's a big deal, folks. Now, I wouldn't say in response to this, but as another piece of the desperation that we have going on, the European Union, the ECB, European Central Bank, is considering a 100 billion euro, just put in the word dollar, $100 billion energy relief fund for companies. So in Europe, folks, the bank is looking at all of the countries. There's like 1 billion people that live in Europe, folks. 1 billion people live in Europe and all those different little countries. 1 billion people. They're all looking at the government going, what are you going to do to fix this energy crisis? And the government goes, I know. We can give a bunch of money to companies. And the people are like, what? You're going to bail out companies again? And by companies, folks, we mean banks. No, John, no. The article says companies. Banks. You see, if a company can't pay its bill, then the banks don't get paid. If companies can't pay their bills, they borrow money, folks, from banks. So this money that is given to the company gets paid by the company to the bank. They're claiming the company gets to stay in business, but it's really to keep the banks solvent. Keep the money flowing around and around and around we go, except this time, they really seem to have left the people out. Hey, people of Europe, go screw yourselves is basically what the European Union and the European Central Bank are saying. And people of America, expect the same thing. Yes, let's bail out the companies with huge amounts of cash. I mean, are they going to let the rest of the country, the people, they're going to just jubilee away everyone's bills? If you have a mortgage, you're done. No more mortgage. If you have college debt, no worries. If you have some credit cards that have been charged, forget about it. Your car, done deal. Nobody has any more debt. Let's just bail everyone out. Why the fuck not? Well, it doesn't work that way, folks. They'll bail out the banks. And they'll let the people struggle, suffer, and struggle some more. And people say, John, what do you mean shit's hit the fan? What are you talking about? Yeah. Just keep saying that, smart guy. Keep it up. Right? You guys here on the channel, it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter whether you're in an office or in a bunker, in the country or in a city, you're prepared. You're in the best position possible. Right? Spend a little time corresponding with Rudy, the urban aboriginal. And he says, you know what? It's time to start closing ranks. The people you talk to, this is all paraphrase, folks. We need to start figuring out who we can count on and who we can't. Start cutting off the dead wood. Think about it. Start cutting off the dead wood. Look around your neighborhood. Who can you rely on? Who can't you rely on? Make some notes, folks. We're getting to that point in certain parts of the country, certain cities. We're getting into the spring here, and lest we forget, we're going to have a midterm election coming up. They're trying to put on the Supreme Court a judge who thinks that pedophilia is no big deal, and that jail times, well, they're a good deterrent, but that's not the solution. Putting people in jail for their crimes. Really? That's not the solution? Well, I heard that the solution for us, having committed no crime for a patriot, is to go to a re-education camp. Unbelievable, folks. Now, I want to get back to Mike's message. Mike's message that he sent Jolene that we incorporated into the show program. Cerveza bug bailouts laundered through inflation. Inflation laundered through the war in Ukraine. The war and its effects on the globe will be laundered through climate change. Okay, climate change. I wanted to get back to climate change. And here we are. The United Nations Secretary General Guterres calls coal investment stupid. Coal. Yeah. Folks, I keep hearing about climate. You do as well. Climate, carbon, and the coming climate crisis. What, folks, is the crisis that's coming? What is it? Sea levels are going to rise? Sea levels have not risen, folks, anywhere that I know of. Have you seen the sea rising? New York should be underwater. Florida should be underwater. I believe Florida is one giant big sandbar, I think. You know, it's sand, and then there's lots of drinking in bars there in Florida, right? How come the islands, right, are still above water? You know, what the heck? Where's all this melting of the ice? Well, we did hear that the ice is actually thickening. So back to the climate crisis. What is this crisis? What is going to happen in this crisis, folks? Will we all freeze? Will we all burn up? Will we all drown or suffer in some way? Right? No one is defining or describing how this crisis takes place. We're just told that there's a crisis, right? They talk about getting all nations off of oil and coal by 2050. We need to be carbon free by 2050. So the crisis must be happening very slowly and far into the future, right? So let me ask you this. So when do fat, old, lying bureaucrats and politicians care about the world that exists over 25 years from now? Folks, all they care about is the money they make while they're in office today. While they've got a job in government, that's all they care about, is how they're going to screw everyone over today. They're not thinking truly 25 years ahead. They're saying there's a crisis, folks, because they need a bunch of money. They need us to suffer, right? That's going to pay the government lots of wealth transfer. Not necessarily the number of dollars, but the amount of wealth that they can consume through this crisis, this energy crisis. And, you know, they want clean energy, then they better fire up a few hundred nuclear plants, folks, starting yesterday, right? Pass the requirement to do this. Get engineers working, start pouring the cement and casting the reactors. All these United Nations assholes do, folks, is whine like kindergarten children when they should be taking action, right? They are so right? Really? Right? In the meantime, while waiting for all the climate chickens to make a decision, perhaps they better drill for more oil, mine some more coal, or STFU for at least a day, right? Let's go, Gretchen. Where's that little Gretchen? You know, how dare you? Unbelievable. Yeah, they're calling in the midst of an economic crash, a monetary melt up, potential World War III. They're still talking about climate. You bet, folks. Oh, and the Supreme Court nominee can't define what a woman is. Now, we may not get the nuclear reactors we need to produce the nuclear energy or electricity that we need in order to meet our climate crisis control demands. But there's plenty of nuclear power out there. Trust me. The Pentagon has been whining about Vladimir Putin's spokesman, right? Saying that his remarks to CNN, he did an interview with Christian Amanpour, who at one point was called a war whore by other people in the media. I guess that's back when they could call people names and get away with it. Anyways, Christian Amanpour did a series of questions focusing, right? And Dmitry Peskov had something to say. He said, we have a concept of domestic security, and it's public. You can read all the reasons for nuclear arms to be used. right? We have in the United States of America about the same amount of nuclear weapons as Russia, right? Russia is like 1/10 or less of our economy, but they have the same amount of nuclear weapons. That is called deterrence, right? That's the reason you have them, is to keep people from screwing with you, right? That's really what it's about, right? Nuclear weapons are a deterrent. That's what they are there for, to keep enemies away. So what this, what Peskov has done is he has basically threatened and said, look, you mess with us and you'll get nuked, right? You'll start a nuclear war. That is a tremendous deterrent, right? To say, well, we're never going to use nuclear weapons, then why have them? Well, they act as a deterrent. Right? They do. Now, back in the early 60s, the Soviet Union, the socialist communist Soviet Union, parked a bunch of nuclear warheads on the island nation of Cuba, just a few miles from Florida and the United States of America. Really, it's much closer than most people realize. And that started, right, the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were on the verge in the early 1960s, folks. That is over 60 years ago. Almost started a nuclear war because the Soviet Union wanted to put missiles right on our border. Now we have the United States government and European Union through its NATO allies. They're wanting to put military bases in Ukraine, which means they're going to put nuclear weapons right there. Let's see, if the United States could threaten that we're going to have a nuclear war unless the Soviet Union gets those missiles out of Cuba, what makes them think that that's not an existential threat when the shoe's on the other foot? Once again, folks, hypocrisy. Why are they pushing Vladimir so hard, folks? Because truly these are desperate times, and desperate SHTF moves are being made. They need to push Vladimir Putin as far and as hard as they can. And he's pushing back too, folks. We're just little people, you and I. We're just Americans, right? Patriots, veterans, taxpayers, regular Joes and Jills. Unbelievable. Yeah, the NATO chief in response to Putin's spokesman, Peskov, he says, a quote, Russia can never win a nuclear war. Yeah, brilliant. Nobody wins a nuclear war. We all lose. That's why we don't play that game. Right? You don't play that game. Now, right here at the end of the monologue, I want to ask you to take a huge guess. Take a wild guess, folks. Italian champion bicyclist. He collapses after the first stage of a bike race in Spain. Right? Medics showed up, performed CPR right there. Take a huge guess why this cyclist collapsed. A world-class athlete, folks. These guys, these bicyclists in Europe, they're insane, man. They can race for day after day after day after day after day, like the Tour de France, right? They have these races everywhere. This was the Volta. That's the Spanish version of the Tour de France, right? They have the Volta. These guys can bicycle for days and days. Now, all of a sudden, they're going to keel over, have a heart attack, stroke. What is going on? I wonder, folks. I wonder. Do you? This is another big one. It's a big deal, folks. The bloom is off the fig leaf. People are done with this crap. Real people are done with this crap. Right? Governor DeSantis from over in Florida, he's not afraid of the cancel media, the cancel culture. He issued a proclamation rejecting the NCAA champion woman, right, swimming person. Why? He proclaimed the real female to be Emma Want, the rightful winner, the rightful champion. People have had it with this crap. The divide between, shall we say, intelligent people and unintelligent people, social engineers. I remember, folks, almost 10 years ago, using the term social engineer. People threw a fit. You can't socially engineer things. You can't do that. It's all natural. No, it's not. They're using media pressure, academic pressure, political pressure, sports pressure, all kinds of pressure to change our culture, to make you put up with a bunch of shit that makes no sense. And Governor DeSantis, folks, a real man. Yeah, he's a man. I'm pretty sure he checked and he found out he had a penis. Probably checks every day, right? He's a real man. Said enough of this shit, right? Supreme Court nominee Ketanji, put your hand in your pants. If you don't have a penis, it makes you a woman. That's how the definition works. It's so simple. Even a caveman can figure it out. Unbelievable. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, folks, but it is time for you guys. Now, you can do any question, comment, topic, word, subject matter, nation, whatever it is you want to talk about. This is your chance. On Patreon, while we're live, you get to ask questions. Put them in the comments. Send them to Patreon. Get them to Jolene one way or another. And she can put them up on the board and I'll make you famous. And I want to thank everybody for supporting this network. Hey, without your support, I just go away. I close up the office, head out into the shop with man, right? And get some other kind of work done for a living. But if you guys keep supporting this channel and helping each other out and getting prepared, I'll stay here. It's up to you guys to support this channel, right? It's up to me to find all this news and think about it and bring it to you, and then we talk about it. It's crazy, 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 right? But if you need this information as much as I need this information, if you need folks that figure this crap out and get prepared and help others, then I do too, right? And that's why we're all here, right? Counting, relying on, forming a kind of tribal community, right? Of people who know the difference between a woman and a man. Unbelievable. And the other thing you can do, folks, is play tell a lie, tell the truth. Put up two things, and I have to guess which one is true and which one's not. Okay, so let's do this. Let's get to the Q&A.
Are you ready?
Okay, here we are. Welcome back. Jolene says we got a few questions all set. Perfect, because I got a bunch of topics to cover while we're waiting for you guys to get even more in. So we got Jezariah checking in. He says, comment on this morning's first video. I think all of us have grown really tired and angry with this current situation, and most are just waiting for the signal to act. The one thing missing from this equation is a true leader for all of us to unite behind. No one will accomplish anything if just a handful of people decide to move. We need to act together. Yes, this is the frustration, folks. This is the anger, the shall we say, impatience that we all have with what's going on. I know for a fact, looking at history, that this is what happened in or prior to the American Revolution. The people were exhausted. Now, back then, folks, they relied on international trade. That's right, folks, in colonial America. They didn't have the internet, telephones, automobiles, trains, airplanes, or anything else. Everything had to come by ship from England. While America, the United States, or rather the colonial companies or states, the colonies had a lot of raw materials and agricultural products that they sent back to England, and England sent finished products back to the colonies. When the King of England really turned up the tyrant, he did a blockade and said nobody is allowed to trade with the colonies. Any businesses from England, Ireland, Scotland, Spain, Portugal, France, the Netherlands, Sweden, no one was allowed to put ship in port. It's kind of like what we have today. We've got all of those ships offshore, folks, and the union workers, for some reason, forgot how to unload ships fast, efficiently, profitably. Additionally, folks, on the West Coast, at the largest oil refinery, they've decided they're going to go on strike. Were you aware of that? They're going to go on strike at the largest oil refinery on the West Coast at a time when fuel prices are already screaming high. They want them to go up further. Yeah, inflation, folks, means everybody has to pay more for anything they want and need. And unions love to say, well, we need a wage that goes up and meets and beats inflation. Well, if you're not in a union, you're screwed, right? Unions are going to go on strike and make everyone else suffer even more. So let's just assume, folks, that the unions get their way and the oil company says, okay, we agree to your demands, higher wages. That's going to get tacked on to the cost of a gallon of gas. So not only is everyone going to have to pay for Biden's fuck-ups, everyone is going to have to pay for the union demanding more and more and more. Collective bargaining agreements. Wow. You know, I understand the need to tell companies. Right? I understand the need to tell companies, you guys don't get to be the only ones who live well. At the same time, there's certain industries, folks, right, that cause everyone to suffer. It's not like you can say, okay, I just don't like Coca-Cola and I'm not going to drink any cola from now on. It's a mess. We have a complete and total mess on our hands. And this is going to get worse. Worse. I hope you have maybe an electric scooter or an electric bicycle or maybe an electric kick and go, because, you know, gasoline, diesel fuel is going to go through the roof over this. Not to mention, folks, I mean, on top of everything else, folks, yeah, the largest refinery in California hit with a strike amid record high gas prices. There's your headline. Wow. But try this one on for size, folks. This is just unfreaking believable. By the way, get your questions into Jolene. Get them in there. Whether you're talking about gas prices, guns, ammo, anything else. Uh-oh, take Heidi's question down. Not yet, Heidi. Okay. Quote, gas stations will run dry, right? There is a catastrophic scenario for diesel fuel and gasoline that is emerging according to the world's biggest energy traders, right? And folks, I'm blue in the face from screaming, the sky is falling, because the sky really is falling, right? They're saying there's going to be a diesel shortage. How is that possible? We have less trucks on the road, less ships on the ocean burning it. How are we all of a sudden running out on diesel unless it's being done intentionally, right? Diesel is needed for locomotives, you know, trains, semi-trucks, everything, folks. Every single thing is shipped using diesel fuel, from boats to trains to semis. Everything takes diesel fuel or bunker fuel if you want to get technical, right? It's all diesel. Prices are set by the cost of a commodity, folks. Refining and processing costs, labor, and the shipping costs. There's no way out of the coming problems with energy, folks. Electricity, food, and necessities like clothing and medications, it's all going to go up, up, up. Are you prepared? Right? while the slide down into this economic depression is occurring, right? It's going to take years, folks. We cannot forget that we will remain in that depression. It'll take many, many years to get out of them as well. So again, I'm blue in the face from saying, right, the sky is falling. But unlike Chicken Little, you can actually put your head out the window and see that the sky is kind of falling. War, famine, pestilence, trannies, look out. All right, let's move on to the next topic. I believe we had Heidi checking in. Heidi says Antarctica temperatures are going off the chart. 50 to 90 degree swings above normal. That's incredible. What I have heard about Antarctica is there is a very large volcano, a lot of seismic activity and crust heating under Antarctica. Very scary stuff. What is going on down there? Big temperature swings like that, 50 to 90 degrees above normal. So our summer is Antarctic winter. Now, Antarctic winters are typically very brutal, folks. We're talking, negative 20 degrees to negative 100 degrees or more. It's freaking cold down there. So, a 50-degree swing could take Antarctica up above freezing. Stuff starts melting. Is that because of carbon? Is that because of some other geologic, geothermal, geotechnical processes? Is this part of a cyclical thing that the Earth does as we go from ice age to warm period back to ice age? How long do these ice ages take? Well, it seems like an ice age can fall upon us very quickly. For example, mammoths found in Siberia, frozen, solid, have fresh food, freshly frozen food in their mouths and fresh food in their stomachs. Now, a mammoth is not a small thing, very large. So in order to freeze a mammoth solid before the food in its stomach has a chance to rot and the mammoth expand like a big balloon, right? They have to be frozen pretty quick, pretty hard. So, does an ice age happen that fast? Pow! Right? I don't know. I don't know how these things work. There's a lot of interesting theories out there. Certainly, folks, yeah. There's some stories about Russian aristocracy having mammoth meat feasts, 100 plus years ago. They'd get these mammoths out, and the mammoth meat was frozen for who knows how many thousands of years. But it was frozen, right, solid so quickly that it didn't spoil. It's a strange world we live in. Does that mean that the Antarctica having wild temperature swings and fluctuations is going to be the end of the world? Nope. It certainly, right, gives us reason to pause, concern, right? Cause for concern. I tell you, when it rains, it pours. In desperate times, desperate measures. We have John Swanson checking in. And it's great to hear from so many new people, folks. He said, heard this AM, Ohio hasn't got their election maps redistricting done. How will they have elections? Well, first they have to do the face palm, right? Big swatting sound. Yeah, if they don't have their election maps redrawn, then perhaps they have to use the old maps. Interesting. Now, we don't have a presidential race. We just have state races for Senate, for congressmen, and then within the states, assembly representatives and state senators and governors, etc. I guess if Ohio has to postpone their race until they get their shit together, they do. But it would not surprise me, folks, that this process is purposefully, intentionally, wantonly done in order to create a situation where we have an election crisis. Wouldn't that be interesting, folks, to have an election crisis? I mean, who's going to oversee that? The governor of the state? Are we just going to quit having elections because they can't redistrict the maps or because we can't rely on voting machines? Whatever happened to those good old-fashioned ballots where you punch out the holes? Well, the ones I did in California, right? We used a little pencil to fill in the arrow. Had the front end of the arrow and the back end of the arrow, and you just filled in the bubble in between to make it a complete arrow. Maybe they had to stop doing that in California because that was some sort of racist thing, making arrows. We're appropriating culture for voting, I guess, because arrows. Unbelievable. Anyways, let us ponder this, right, and watch as we go forward. I think this is another manufactured crisis. It's another problem created by our good friends in government who need to have an atrocious election year. Don't worry, we'll have Antifa and BLM on the streets this summer. I'm sure somewhere, folks, someone who probably isn't as good a person as St. George Floyd, someone's going to get killed, and they're going to just go apeshit again. Right? If it looks like they're going to lose the House, folks, maybe they need to suspend the elections. Democrats don't want to give it up. And the people, as I've pointed out, and as you've noted, head scratcher, like, this America, really? We've had it with this crap. Governor DeSantis leading the way. What a dude. It'd be cool to meet that guy someday. I'll have to head down to Florida and talk to him. I'm sure he would say, "Oh, John, great to meet you. I'm glad you called the office. Stop on by. We'll have a scotch." Right? He's had enough of this shit. He's calling the cerveza bug madness and the Jim Jones juice crap. He calls it theater. Told students at a college down there in Florida, take your masks off. Enough of this theater. Enough of this pretending. That's what theater is, folks. It's pretending. They're always pretending. A bunch of caca. Unbelievable. Okay. We got Uman. He says, truth or a lie? Uh-oh. We're going to play true or lie. Time to stump the John. We got to tell the truth, tell a lie. He says, a woman won the women's NCAA swimming title. A man won the women's NCAA swimming title. Which one is true? Which one is false? And remember, folks, this is just satire.
Cut out the jibber jabber. Don't be babbling like a fool. Say what you got to say. That's all. Then shut your dang pie hole.
And once again, it's all satire. You got that, snowflakes? Now here's the fact. The swimmer with a penis won the NCAA women's swimming title. Now, I haven't offended anyone because I didn't say that person with a penis was a man or a woman. But since the swimmer who won the NCAA women's title has a penis, we've got some problems, don't we? When we can't figure out what the definition of a man or a woman is, and it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. Can you see how this ties in? Anyways, man, that was freaking fabulous. That is how we play. Stump the John. Actually, you didn't stump me because I know that if you have a penis, you're a man. You can claim to be a woman. You can psychologically be a woman. But the penis a man makes. Now, I am a biology expert. I remember being in school and seeing the boards, seeing the posters on the wall, watching those films when they said a man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. Now, sadly, Ketanji Jackson Brown or Brown Jackson or whatever her name is, who's going to be on the Supreme Court unless, I guess, common sense, decency, and morality takes over in Washington, D.C. No fat chance. Yeah. The Supreme Court nominee can't define a woman. Governor DeSantis could. Apparently, Uman can. Apparently, all of us can. Now, hey, you want to be gay? Fine. You want to be a tranny? Fine. if he still has a penis, right? Men have penises. Males have penises. Right? When you look at your dog, if your dog has nuts, right, and a penis, that's a boy dog. It's a male dog. It works for every other mammal on the planet. If you got a penis, you're a male. In humans, we call that male a man. Why is this so confusing? Anyways, man, thanks for playing along with Stump the John. Tell a lie, tell the truth, and see if I can figure it out. Unfreaking believable. That was really good, buddy. That was really good. I tell you. Where do we go from here, right? Where do we go from here? Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun with this. The New York Times has acknowledged, folks, that Hunter Biden, his laptop, quote, the laptop from hell. They've acknowledged it, right? Lawyers for the Biden family, some people call it the crime family, are, quote, extremely concerned Hunter Biden is going to be indicted. Now, we would all love to see that as much as many people enjoyed to see that Madeleine Albright passed away today. That's right. One of the, I think she was the first Secretary of State under Clinton. I don't know if she's a woman or a man. Now she's dead. Anyways, yeah. We're getting a lot of shockers here. Anyways, back to Hunter Biden. If indicted, folks, if this actually gets traction, right? Because they have the laptop. You got Hunter Biden smoking a crack pipe, weed, snorting coke off of hookers' asses, and God knows what else, right? That's on a laptop. It's now been admitted to being legitimate, right? It's real. I hope the guy that turned it in and was called a liar and everything else, I hope he sues the New York Times. Anyways, folks, the information on that laptop is damning, to say the least. What happens to Joe Biden, right, if this continues and Hunter is perp-walked, right? If he gets to wear the beautiful orange jumpsuit and silver bracelets, what happens to President Joe Biden, who the testimony, Hunter Biden's, shall we say, he wasn't coerced. It was uncoerced testimony talking about his dad, the big guy, and how he gets 10% of all foreign deals. That looks bad. I mean, how bad is that compared to Richard Nixon telling some of his goons to break into the Democrat headquarters at the Watergate Hotel? Which one's worse? Selling U.S. influence, pay to play, and then having 10% of the money paid into private bank accounts that go to the vice president, who is now the president, or a couple of thugs broke into an office and tried stealing some information, right? That stealing information thing, that was enough for Nixon to be threatened with impeachment, and he resigned from office. Yep, old Millhouse, Richard M. Nixon, resigned from office over a break-in. Joe Biden, at his son's own words, is being accused of graft, racketeering, bribery, extortion, corruption at the highest levels internationally. Not only that, it's tied directly to Ukraine and the current Ukraine situation and the current Ukraine leadership and the current Ukraine military and the current Ukraine crisis. And that man gets to be the president at such a time, while he is now, folks, what's the word for that? Compromised. He's compromised. How can he lead in a situation where he is compromised? Doesn't work real well, does it? In my opinion, not well at all. Oh boy, I tell you. I tell you, folks. Super Quick Fix says, was the 10% really going to Biden or Obama? The 10% was going to Biden. There was a China deal. There was the mayor of Moscow, his wife, hosted Hunter Biden, I guess. He had Chinese business deals, Chinese banking deals, Russian deals. He had Ukraine deals. Now, Obama, remember, he's a pretty smart slickster, huh? In fact, I think he makes Slick Willie look a little rough around the edges. I would think that Obama said, Mr. Biden, figure out this Ukraine thing. Go get a bunch of cash. Get it laundered. Pass it through to your private accounts. And when it's all is said and done, then we'll make some transfers to some private numbered accounts owned by myself, Monsieur Barack Hussein Barry Soetoro Obama. That's right. Let Biden, Hunter, and Biden Joe be the muscle, the mouth, the middleman, and the fall guy all in one. And Obama probably took half or more of Joe Biden, the big guy's 10%. That's how I see it. Wouldn't that be slick of Obama to let Biden take the fall? Unbelievable, folks. Unbelievable. And oh yeah, Putin is denazifying, removing Nazis from power in Ukraine, while the Ukraine military puts its armaments, its tanks, its rockets in civilian zones, so that in order to take those military targets out, civilians are put at risk. And then Ukraine gets to say that Russia is targeting civilians. No. The Ukraine government and military, they're using the people of Ukraine as human shields, children and women as human shields. What would you expect, folks, from Nazis? They're literally Nazis. I believe we have pictures of the Ukraine military posing with swastikas and SS flags, doing nice Nazi hand salutes. I think even Zelensky, folks, posing with a swastika, posing with a Ukraine flag. A Ukraine flag, folks, that has a swastika on it. It's unbelievable, folks. The damage has been done. And desperate times, folks, call for desperate measures. And oh, remember that climate change thing? One last little piece here at the end of the show. Russia has now had its first high-level official in the Putin regime resign and leave the country. Really? He left the country? Isn't he Russian? It's interesting he would leave the country. Well, guess who this guy was, folks? Guess who he was? He was the climate envoy. That's right, folks. Comment or comedy on this one. The Russian climate envoy, Anatoly Chubai, has stepped down and left the country, citing his opposition to President Vladimir Putin's war in Ukraine. Folks, I suppose climate clowns are the same in any nation, right? If he was a real Russian nationalist, if he really loved Mother Russia, why would he leave the country? Except to say he was the climate envoy, the climate bureaucrat, and he's pushing this global carbon climate crap on Russia too. And since, the climate creeps aren't getting their way, he decided he would quit and make a big deal out of it. And I just see a fucking climate clown, folks. They're everywhere in every country. Crazy, unbelievable. What is happening? Okay, where are we at? I think we're done. We're wrapping up hump day on Wednesday. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Tell others to subscribe. Leave it up to them, folks, but get your groups ready. It is going to happen. Eventually, folks, the blockades, the stupidity, the overregulation, the domineering government, we're going to have our Lexington and Concord. Whether it's over rifles or diesel fuel, whether it's over, I don't know, steaks and hamburgers, or whether or not someone has meat and potatoes in their pants. Right? It's going to happen. They're going to keep pushing. People are being hurt. There's going to be a fight. You need to be prepared. Go to the preparedmind.club, CLUB, the preparedmind.club. You can get medicine there, folks. You can get antibiotics. You can get all types of medical help and assistance through our doctors that have links to us. They're not our doctors. They're not on our staff. They just worked out an arrangement with Jolene. Thank you, Jolene. But we have everything through the preparedmind.club, folks. Everything you need to get prepared, one way or another, you can get it there. Ammo, food, water preparation stuff. You got it. Clothing, body armor, radios, communication, flashlights. You name it, we got it. Go get it. Get prepared, because chance favors the prepared mind. Is yours? Semper Fi, folks. Godspeed, and I'll see you tomorrow.